Good morning. It is Raven with another tale of terror from the Raven's Nest. This is going to be the long-awaited Father's Day special. I'm still working on the Mother's Day special. I just need to clickety-clack it now that I have found it in my notebooks. But yeah, I had a fun time writing this. I drew from very classic tropes like Faust, making a deal with the devil, such as the fiddler who wanted to play the fiddle exquisitely, but then, there was that whole deal. So I got ideas from things like that, and it was a lot of fun writing up this piece. There are going to be some heavy gore warnings at the end revolving family. As it's a Father's Day special, naturally this is going to have a lot of family themes. So if that sort of thing perhaps is going to be a trigger warning, feel free to check out any of my other videos. Anything else on the World Wide Web, horror should be for everybody. Without further ado, here is Bet Your Best Hand. Bet your best hand. How the fuck did I end up here? Gambling. A never-ending game of high stakes, losing money, then gaining it back tenfold. The rush, the addictive feeling that dominated my life. Poker, blackjack, any manner of card game, even the slot machines, you name it, I've played it. And I've learned the skill of counting cards. Yet I was in a dangerous situation I could not cheat my way out of. No one has ever beaten the devil himself. This gang is so powerful, coming up from the shadows. Even hearing of their ruthlessness coupled with rumors of sheer invincibility and the supernatural. So I sought a private game. No gangbanger scared me before. I went up against countless organizations, not losing a finger or my money. This time I was so wrong. It took so little effort. There was no resistance. Just one meeting with the boss. He wasn't a very tall man, but with dark eyes, starless, emitting no light. The intimidation tactics were real. No bullshit. That gleam of malice could not be faked. Looking for a challenge, a husky voice replied, dripping in rotten honey. I could only nod. You came for fame, glory. Your story isn't special or different. Greed and greatness brought you to me. So what's your pleasure? I couldn't speak as if my words were taken from me. I was trying to form sentences with a dry mouth. My mouth moved, but no words. Russian roulette is pretty fun. In a high-stakes game, it's obvious you bet with more than money. Lose, and you die. Like those odds. Already, I felt I was in too deep to walk out. His price too steep, and he clearly never lost. A smart man would never be here, let alone bet more than he could afford. Finally, I asked, what's the bet? The thing you give away for free. That corrupted excuse you call a soul. The room became shadowed, the lights went out with a sudden breeze filled the space. I fought the urge to run, but I already knew there was no way out. He anticipated my every move. Perceptive, now if you would take a seat. The man gestured to a table with a revolver and two chairs. Gulping a breath of air, I willed my limbs to the table. Stumbling forward, I grasped the chair, trying to prepare myself mentally for the horrors that were to follow. The man sat across from me, his gaze locked on me as he loaded the chamber with one bullet. I don't cheat, and I know your feeble mind needs a little assurance, but a little trust. Shall we flip a coin to see who goes first? I call heads. It was a statement rather than a question. I would comply with the bear trap already securely around my leg. Tear fueled my mind as the coin flipped, reaching tails. "You first," he said sinisterly. I reached for the weapon, sweat dripping from my forehead, wondering if this first click would be my last. Hesitantly, I pulled the trigger. It didn't go off. My glimpse of hope was soon stripped away as he fired the gun. I passed him with no bullet discharged. Soon there was only one round left after this. One last fire, and I would die. "What's in hell?" Finding a voice to inquire about my impending doom. "I don't want to ruin the surprise for you. Perhaps instead of counting cards, you should have read about my world." The gun once again returned to my hand, shaking as I put it to my temple. He would savor my fear and drink my torment before devouring my very soul into the fiery pit. He needed me to walk in and choose my fate. He needed me to forfeit my life. But I had no choice but to shoot the last bullet anyway. The perfect trap. But this man, the devil didn't laugh or smile, but looked seriously as I returned the weapon to his hands. He wasn't gloating or mocking my final moments. What was the point? He was about to win. I fell to my knees and pleaded to trade anything else or a rematch, to become a pitiful, sobbing creature in the face of death, but I forced back the salt waters and pulled the trigger. Instead of a bullet, a voice rang loud and clear. "Daddy? Daddy? How could you do that?" "Anything but that. You see, Charles, I don't have to wager your soul to win, because it's already my property." Hands flew to my ears to cover the sound of screaming, of chainsaws ripping through flesh. I heard feet dragging on the floor. "You'll end up alone, because you couldn't pay your debts. But you wouldn't face the consequences. So what did you give up?" "Don't say it! Don't you fucking say it!" I exclaimed in a burst of guilt and rage. "You threw your family to the wolves instead of yourself. Your wife cut to ribbons at the hands of a chainsaw and left for dead. That's before witnessing the death of your son. Don't think they didn't suffer greatly, because you know they did. So you can keep your wretched soul, because it's already mine." And that was Bet Your Best Hand. I apologize for the little bit of stumbling at the end. Again, I'm getting better with every video. I hope you had just as much fun as I did on this ride. It was a hell of a good time. Punny. And I will see you all next week for another tale of terror from the Raven's Nest. Stay spooky!